Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you the core components that make up an app and what's needed to actually get your idea from your head into something you can actually share with people, get feedback and validate as an MVP. So my name's Reese. I am the founder of Creative Concepts. We are a London-based app and software development agency. We're a small remote team. I'm based in London in Canary Wharf, and we help entrepreneurs, founders, and small businesses launch app ideas and software ideas to either help their business or launch something brand new. So, so the core components of any good app or piece of software start with the problem that you're trying to solve. So we'll put problem. This is the core fundamental that you'll be working backwards from to figure out what your solution, i.e. your app or your software, needs to actually do in order to fix that problem or address that problem for your ideal customer. Now, I said ideal customer there, so the problem needs to be geared towards someone who experiences this problem on a day-to-day basis. And that type of person is someone that you can serve, want to serve, and has the budget or the money to pay for your solution. So we also want to look at, let's say, ICP, which is your ideal customer profile. Now, these two are going to map in to your solution, which is the app or software that you're looking to build. You need to have a clearly defined problem that you're trying to solve, and you need to have a clearly defined person or type of person that you want to solve the problem for. So it's no good just having a problem and then trying to solve it for everyone, because there are going to be some people that will experience that issue on a day-to-day basis, and there'll be some people that experience that issue once every 6 months. So you don't want your marketing and all of your efforts to be reaching out and catching people who are only experiencing that problem once every 6 months, a year. You want it to be focusing on people who have that problem on a consistent, ongoing basis, where it's a lot more of a painful issue for them, that they're more likely to pay for a solution to solve. So we have our ICP and our problem, and then the solution and app or software that we're looking to build. So we want to essentially wrap this into a core feature. For features, I've put an S there in brackets. So with an MVP, with any kind of first iteration of a product that you're using to test the market, you want to be very careful not to put too many features and cram loads of ideas. And as a founder, it can be very easy to make that mistake. And we've seen it so many times. I've made that mistake myself as well. You get very excited. You think, I've got this great idea. We're going to solve this problem. We're going to put 10, 15 different features in that do it in all different ways and have all these kind of power ups and things. When actually you need to just focus on one or two maximum features that solve that problem exactly for your ideal customer. If you start adding in extra bells and whistles, then it becomes very complicated for those initial set of users, those initial set of customers to actually understand what problem it is you're solving and to reach that aha moment. The aha moment is when someone signs up to your products, whether it's a free trial or you send them an invite code or you give them access in some way, and they sign up, register, put in their details, and they kind of look at it and initially, if there's no aha moment, they'll probably bounce. They won't even start using it. But if you can pull in that aha moment where they go, okay, I get what this is about, they maybe start using it a little bit and they immediately see the value that you're providing and how you're solving their problem. They literally then go, yeah, I get it. And then from there, that's where you can double down on that and start to build a really successful product. So we want to focus on uh, minimizing features so that they can get to that aha moment. Now, we do this with our clients by taking a mind map of all of their ideas and features that they want to put in, and we try and look at what's the bigger picture here. What's the problem that we're solving? Who are we solving it for? And then how do we distill that down into one core feature? And that is essentially what the MVP becomes. So we'll say choose one feature as the MVP, as the minimum viable product. Now, the great thing about an MVP is that they're typically a lot more cost effective to build. They're a lot cheaper to get built, and they're less complicated to maintain, and you can test your initial assumptions very, very quickly. So that's why we say focus on one thing. You can test as the MVP, and you can always add things later down the line, and you can sell the roadmap as opposed to trying to sell a Frankenstein product where you've put all of your time, effort, and money and energy into something that's just too complicated to start with. And then you end up doing the opposite. You end up having to take things out once you realize you've made a mistake and you're trying to remove friction. So we just want to set the product up for success by removing as much friction for the user from the very outset. And we do that by minimizing the number of features that we have. So we choose one feature as the MVP, and then we stay focused on that particular feature set, on that particular approach, and we tailor all of our marketing back to the problems for that ideal customer. Really, really simple. People overcomplicate this. It's very, very easy to get in your head and look at so many different YouTube videos and read all these books about marketing. But actually, the core fundamental of building and marketing a product is to have one key problem for one type of person, build one solution with one feature, make it very easy to get to that aha moment, and go all in with that feature as the MVP. Stay focused on solving that problem for a good 6 months, a year plus, until you basically get product market fit, which is where people use it, people understand it, and they tell other people about it. And then you get that organic, viral flywheel growth effect where they're telling their friends, telling people, and that's how you benefit from that kind of network effect that you see with some viral products. And you could do that by just staying focused on your ICP and solving that particular problem for that one type of person. Very, very simple in practice, very difficult to execute well and stay aligned with that, especially when you start to get other people in your funnel and other people in your sales pipeline who maybe aren't your ICP, and you start to listen to some of their feedback, and that's when you start to inherit some of their problems and you start to build out for edge cases, and suddenly you've got a very complicated product. So how do we then go from having our idea and our ideal customer how do we go from that to building a product? So let's work with an example. Let's say we've got therapy clinics or med spa, something like that. So our ideal customer profile is going to be let's say therapy clinics, and the problem is they don't follow up, or they forget to follow up with leads. They forget to follow up with leads who book a call. They forget to follow up. So you've got a therapy clinic and they book an initial consultation, whether it's like a virtual consultation, and then the salespeople or the business owner at that level, they may forget to follow up, and therefore they're losing business, they're losing leads. So what can we do? What kind of product can we build that's a solution to that problem for those type of people? Well, let's say we look at building a SaaS product. So this is going to be a software as a service. So this is your typical cloud-based software that you would subscribe to. You usually start a free trial. So think things like HubSpot or Salesforce or uh, even something like Calendly, for example, is probably more relevant in this case. So what can we build that helps these therapy clinics? Well, let's say we've got the problem. They forget to follow up. The ideal customer profile is therapy clinics. We'd want to go into more detail, but for the purpose of the video, we'll keep it nice and high level. What can we build that would fix that for them? Well, something as simple as an automated follow-up calendar. What could this be? Okay, so we need one core feature. We don't want to be rebuilding Calendly or Cal.com or any of those guys. We just want one core feature tailored for our therapy clinics. So let's say the feature is going to be they get a drip sequence of emails and WhatsApp after their consultation. That is our feature. So someone books a call with the therapy clinic through the calendar and it books onto their system. And then after that, they get a drip sequence of emails and WhatsApp messages after that initial consultation has gone. So after the start date and time of that initial consultation, assuming the person has actually showed up to the call. So this is our core feature, essentially just drip sequences. That's all we need. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, we've actually got all these other things and these other features and, you know, allowing for calendar booking, things like that. That's fine. We obviously need the product to solve the problem. So we need some way for someone to book book an appointment. But the core feature, the core assumption that we're trying to test for our startup, for our product is, do therapy clinics get a better return on their ad spend investment if we automate the follow-up sequence after that initial consultation? So are we solving that problem for them by having an automated sequence of WhatsApp and email messages? That's what we're testing. So the product itself is very simple, a calendar system with an automated backend that sends those messages. Then we can build that very easily. Our choice of tool is no code, so we would use something like Bubble to build it. We would design it first and then build it for the client, and that means we can build something in sort of 30 days, let's say, for an MVP, and then they can go to market and start testing that assumption very quickly. The key is testing as quick as you can, and the great thing about keeping an MVP very simple, a very easy solution here, is that the marketing messages almost write themselves. So instead of building a whole calendar suite and trying to figure out what audience to sell it to and how do we market it, we've already started by saying this is the problem, this is the customer type, and then this is our feature. So really, we can just reach out to therapy clinics and say, hey, do you always forget to follow up with your leads after that initial consultation? How much money do you think that's costing you? We've built a calendar system that does that for you automatically after they've booked and after they've attended the booked consultation. So you don't have to worry about doing it. It's all handled for you automatically. Very, very clear value proposition to a very clear type of person who has our problem. And that is essentially our SaaS or micro SaaS, which is just a very small single feature, very small niche solution to a niche problem. Again, we're not looking to take this and try and sell it to all different types of clients and businesses. We just want to solve a single problem for our ideal customer, and that's how we approach the sales and the marketing side. So this is what we do for our clients at Creative Concepts. We help them get really, really clear on who they're serving, what problem they're solving, and how they can get to market very quickly to test that assumption. Because they may get to market and realize that actually therapy clinics don't have this issue, they already follow up, but they experience something like low show rates to their initial call. And then we can go, okay, well, how do we potentially solve that? And we may need to pivot or change the idea. And that's what we work through with you. Usually a project we can get started within sort of a week from the initial discussion. We'll send everything over in terms of what we plan on doing together, and we work together to figure out what the scope of work would be for the MVP. And we make it really nice and simple. We get you to market quickly at a good affordable rate. We don't take any equity in your idea or your project either. And then from there, we can work with you on a continual basis after that to evolve the product over time and hopefully build something that turns into a real business for you. So if that's of interest, then book a call. You'll find the links in the description on this video. If you have any questions, please do drop me an email. Again, the email will be in that description, and feel free to leave any comments. Okay, thanks.